Hi, good morning. I'm Praggatti. I'm a consultant psychologist and a personal growth and transformation master coach. At Educoncepts India, we, along with Mompreneur Circle, have decided to hold this support series for the women in the group, for the women in the community, and particularly keeping in mind all those women who are feeling overwhelmed, who have been through the pandemic in a very happy mood, but suddenly they realize there's so much that they need to share and talk about. So, what is it that they're experiencing? And we have seen enough ways in which they're voicing it out on the community. When they write about it, trust me, our heart goes out to them. And all of us, irrespective of whether we are anxious, overwhelmed, or worried or not, are experiencing some or the other, uh, nuance of this problem. So, what is it, and how we go about managing it? So, hi Latika, thank you so much for bringing me on to talk about something which is so special to my heart. Thank you, Suman, for joining in. It's such a pleasure to have you here. So we will be continuing in a while to talk about what is it the woman is experiencing and why we are suddenly becoming a worrying tribe. What is worrying us? What is making us so overwhelmed with whatever is going around us? And how we can handle this in a much more mature as well as a very objective manner. If you're wondering what is it, how this will go, I may even go about suggesting you to sit with a pen and a paper, because I'm going to ask you a few questions. I don't want this to be another, knowledge laden session. I want it to be helping you in reflecting a bit, in ensuring that you think through your problem within this life as well as outside this life when this is over. So you can go back to this and use the content that I'm going to talk about and feel far more comfortable, especially with the festivals coming up. There's no reason why we should be a worrying tribe. Yeah. So can I have a quick round of thumbs up by so many lovely ladies who've joined in? So if you can just give me a thumbs up on your presence or how you are feeling today. Great, great, great. So Shweta, Deepika Chavla, Suman, and everybody else, welcome. And we are going to talk about this in a while. And because I want to start with 3 questions which are extremely self-reflective, which are extremely important for a woman to consider. Wherever you are on the spectrum of worry, anxiety, fear, or in extreme cases even depression, trust me, all these questions will make a lot of sense. So now I'm going to begin in a while, and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. It's absolutely up to you if you want to answer them in the comments below, or if you want to make a separate note of that. The idea is not to come and kind of give you some kind of information overload. And true to what Latika really wanted was, let's talk it out in the community through this live. So I have to ask you 3 questions before I even take you to the areas of what must be happening to a woman and whether it is actually happening or we are the only ones watching those kind of posts, right? So we'll go there also, but currently, to begin with, I want most of you to consider 3 questions. My first question is, why would some of us worry a lot more than others? You can even put it a little more personalized way, and you can ask yourself, why do I worry a little more than others? I'm giving you a few seconds to think about that, to make a little note of that. Why would you worry a little more than others? My second question to you would be, when do you think it started for you? Yeah, when do you think it started for you? And lastly, very, very important, how is this worry showing up in your life? What exactly is happening? Personally, professionally, with your children, with your spouses, with your families, and most importantly, with your own sense of self, your own sense of self-belief, self-love, compassion, and emotional, well-being. So what and how this worry is showing up in your life. A little engagement would be a great idea. If you can just tell me or give me a thumbs up on yes, I've been able to answer some of them. Or if you have a query on any one of these questions, I'll be even happy to answer them. So here we have to understand, now that you have answered all these questions, based on your answers on these questions, you may be sitting on either of the three core emotions of a woman's life, right? So one of them is fear, the second is worry, and the third is anxiety. Let me build it up a little bit for you to understand. Are you fearful? Are you worried? Or are you anxious, right? So fear is one of the most natural, a response of the body, getting scared about certain things that we don't like, we fear about. So that's something which is important. The second element, worry is all about when the same fear gets into your thoughts, it becomes a worry, right? And the third one is anxiety. So whenever your worry gets into your body, it becomes anxiety. So do you see that? Worry is so natural. It only tells you to be prepared. But when you do not prepare for that worry or that fear that you are encompassing, it either seeps into the mind or seeps into the body. The moment it seeps into the mind and you allow your fear to sit in as in your thinking, you experience immense amount of worry. And you worry and you really worry yourself to physical ill-being, to emotional ill-being, and more on. So now, going to the third aspect, when the same fear is not handled, it also gets into your body. If you look at it these days, so many people are talking of a diagnosis, psychosomatic illnesses. What are they? They are nothing but your worry getting into your body. Panic attacks, it is nothing but your worry getting into your body. It is, and ignoring it for so long that finally it tells your body to help it so that you take notice and correct it. So that is what is happening when you went out. Now my question is, why would you like to talk about it? Some people would like to talk about it on a community, to many friends, many times over. And why would they do that? So there are two things here. Now one is they want to vent out. When you vent out, when you talk about it, you feel relief for some time, but that's such a temporary way of handling it. In fact, that's a very bad coping mechanism. You just want to talk about it and feel relieved in the moment. And you're also creating pathways for the same thing to come back, so that again tomorrow you can vent it out. So my question to most of the women would be, are you really wanting to solve it? Or you're here only to vent it out and talk about it and that's it? It's such a cosmetic way of changing it. What is the other better way to change it? Well, I feel the second better way to change it is to shift from crying, cribbing, complaining, sulking, just telling every person about your problem, to something where you learn, what are my triggers? Now go back to all the three questions I asked you initially. Those three questions were basically my way of making it a very personalized statement for everybody here who's attending this live. So you've got to be understanding why some of us worry more is again because we do not know what triggers us. We are not prepared for our fear. And because we are not prepared, we are not even looking at what's fearful for us. We allow the worry to seep into our head, to seep into our body, and then be unwell. How sad is that? Now, coming back to what can be done. Very, very important. We can learn about what is triggering us. What exactly, and you have to be very, it's so easy to say, I know what is triggering me. But it is so difficult to understand what triggers you, and accepting what triggers me in the most rational, most unbiased way is difficult for most people. Yes, you may have n number of people telling you acceptance is great, or acceptance works, self-love works. But when it comes to application of all these concepts, most of us struggle. And that is the reason a woman is overdoing. She's not accepting her triggers. She's not creating a proper boundary or a distance from what is creating that overwhelming her. She's so fearful most of the time, and she's happy sulking in the fear, not doing much about it. Yes, I'm here to raise a very, I have to show you a mirror. I cannot be telling you, no, dear woman, you're doing right. We are here to support you. Everybody's here to support you. We are a tribe. But it is important to take some personal responsibility of what triggers us. And you cannot do that if you do not have some time to sit down and think through things. If you're always on the move, if you're always serving others at the expense of your own well-being, your own emotional recharging, trust me, the idea of triggers will not even cross your mind. You will just go from day to day fearing bad, then worse, and then worst. The second thing that you have to understand is, once you have taken the responsibility of what's bothering you exactly, not how you feel about it, but what's actually bothering you, the next thing is to take the action. An ounce of action is worth tons of theory that you can listen through friends, family, community, lives, and more. So that little action would matter the most. Most of you in the room, how is it that you're able to do? Are you, so just give me a thumbs up in case you are taking charge of your emotional triggers. Do you think you're taking charge of your emotional triggers? Do you even know what triggers you to fear, into worry, into anxiety? And let me tell you, if you think, oh, it's just a little fear, that's okay. Fear doesn't sit there quietly. Fear makes sure that you notice. Fear makes sure that it makes life hell for you. And that little fear will try, as I said, go into the mind and make you overthink. And did you know depression that we are finding so common these days is nothing but it's a disorder of thinking. Overthinking comes so naturally to most of us. We are overdoing it. We are overutilizing this little element which has been given to survive. But what we are doing is we are living through overthinking. So this disorder of depression has become common because me, you, and many others are not channelizing their fear right. We are allowing that worry to sit there for longer times. We're happy ruminating, on something which happened 25 years back, to 11 years back, to 3 years back. We are having such vivid imagination, such vivid replay of all those events that the same hurt, guilt, embarrassment, and much more comes back to us like a surge of emotions. So do you see what is it that you are doing? Another thing that we have to also understand here is, apart from, allowing that worry here in the thinking, you are ensuring that you are depressed. The second part of it is, if you allow anxiety also to stay for longer than usual and you do nothing about it, you don't talk to it to a professional, you don't, you just survive through it, you just go on your day-to-day basis thinking that it's okay, this too shall pass. Trust me, there has to be a better coping mechanism, because if you think this too shall pass, chances are this shall not pass. This will sit there, and once it's overdone in the mind, it will get into your body and create panicky symptoms. Panic symptoms could be as close to having a heart attack. So there are people who are battling panic and they really feel, oh my God, this is huge. But trust me, most of these things are cognitive errors, which means errors of thinking. These are the errors of how you're seeing life, how you're seeing your children, how you're seeing your husband, your personal life, your professional work areas, your colleagues, and more. So now you understand how important it becomes for us to have a better mindset, and not just to have a better house, a bigger car, or things like that. Not that I have anything against these things, but yes, I do feel if you are so busy chasing the material part of the life, you do not have the bandwidth to sit down and to analyze, to reflect, to be more self-aware. What makes me fearful? What makes me so conscious, so worried, and where is this temperament coming from? How can I look into it in a different manner now that I'm older, bigger, and far more competent today than I have been earlier? So that's how it works. So any questions till now, I'll be very happy to have them. Latika, would you like to ask something? Or even Deepika, Shweta, and Suman, what is it that you have on your mind? I'll be very happy to hear that out before I go on to tell you that it is immensely wonderful of you to make time out and to sit here in this live. It clearly shows your intention. Your intention is not just to vent out and kind of get rid of it in the moment. Your intention is to go a little deeper, dive into your own mechanisms of coping and feeling good about it. Yes, and feeling good about it, that you have control. See, most of the things what woman does is, I do not have control. I have no say in this. And the moment you feel this whole sense of helplessness, pessimism, and closed, opportunities or life options, that's where you actually feel that it is worse than it is actually. Yeah. Okay, so I'm here now going to talk about, so now that we have touched upon what makes you a little more worryful than others. Of course, being a woman, we are prone to more thinking than action, and we think through, we think again, and we continue to think, and we make sure that we make our lives difficult and we make lives difficult for people around us. And I'm a woman, so I know how this works. But as a woman, you have to take charge of your thinking. And how could you do that? Lot of things. So and let me also remind you, this life may give you a little insight on what is not working for us as a woman and what is working for men. Because if you statistically look at the whole idea, the ratio of a depressed woman to a man is 2:1. Sad, right? But the truth is, there are certain factors which are contributing to this whole dimension of women being more depressed, more anxious than anybody else. What is it? How could this be taken care of? So now, coming back to my things, so I was also highlighting that this live should not be taken as a substitute to meeting a professional or an experienced individual, because undercovering or going deeper into the various levels of your worry, anxiety, panic attacks and more takes work. It takes a lot of effort and a few sessions. But however, even if you get to have the helicopter view of your problems, trust me, you will be good to go. So if you're just started on with a little bit of worry or a little bit of anxiety, managing it when it is small, when it is a little, low, that's a good time to do it. If you do not manage it that way and allow it to fester, allow it to grow bigger, chances are you will be actually inviting a whole lot of depression, whole lot of panic attacks, and which already has become a pandemic. I don't think you have to contribute more by being more difficult in this scenario. Coming back, now I want to talk about so why the statistics of 2:1, 2 women is to 1 man being depressed. Okay, so I have a comment here. Rashi says, we care too much and want everything to be perfect and everyone to be happy. We give too much that sometimes we ourselves get drained. Rashi, very beautiful point. In fact, we are our last priorities. We don't even bother to look at whether we are caring for ourselves or not. If you go to the various social media handles, you'll find tons of people talking about self-love, self-compassion. But my question to everybody is, are you into self-love? Are you dedicating time for self-compassion? Are you filling up your own emotional cup before you kind of give out from that cup? Because if you're not filling it on a regular daily basis and you keep doling out your emotions to others, chances are your cup actually, comes to a level where you have nothing else to give. So do you understand how beautiful it is? And what you just said, Rashi, is the popular, understanding of why woman is more depressed. Very popular, very common, very universal. Everybody believes these are the factors, that we are giving more, we are not being acknowledged, we have some past hurts. But I am not going to get into the nitty-gritties or the specific. I'm going to give you a couple of factors, 5-6 factors, which is every woman's area of being watchful, right? So if we are not watching over these, chances are we will be the next one to go into overwhelm, to go into worry, to go into anxiety, and in serious cases to go into depression. So what is it? What is it that apart from, so yes, I agree, you might say, oh, a woman has a biological reason that she is more prone to emotional roller coaster. Okay, you might say woman is the one who's most biased at work. If you go to work, you'll find a woman more lonely in a boardroom full of men, right? Men, or even if she performs, she's not given a due credit. She is being marginalized, or there are biases against gender, and more so. I agree to that. That could be one of the reasons. If you talk about women has different life stages where she experiences from menses to menopause to a lot of other hormonal shifts, I would agree to that. But this is what is happening to all the women. So if this is happening, if the biological phenomena, the biases, the non-inclusion, and also whatever else we can think of, this is happening to every single woman. Why some of us get more devastated than others? So now is a time to look at it in a much more scientific manner. What does psychology say about it? Psychology says women and men both have tendencies to think. But why women does that more, or why women feels more depressed as compared to men, is simple. Women think and men take action. If a woman is depressed, she will sit down in one place, sulk, eat, and preferably, fattening food. She will eat that kind of food, and then she will later kind of, what do you say? So she will say, yes, it was because of that. She will never say it was because of me. Woman overthinks. A woman is upset about something, she will ruminate and again and again and again. At the same time, if a man is upset, he will get up, take the car and go out of the house, or he will go for a jog, he will go for a run, or he will fight. He will just take out the pent-up energy. A woman keeps the pent-up energy here in the mind. And I have to tell you, a pent-up energy is the most toxic things to keep in your body. Your pent-up energy, as I've been regularly saying and repeating often, it either goes into your head or goes into your body, and both ways it's such a difficult scenario. So what does woman do with her thinking? What does woman do with difficult emotion is the reason. Not because of our biology, not because of the different life stages, not because of the overwhelming roles, not because that she's wired that way. No. So none of these factors which are popularly known to be causing all these issues in women does not stay relevant, especially scientifically. So if not this, then what? Any idea? If not this, then what? What could be the reason? As I said, I'm going to give you an aerial view of your problem. So the aerial view has the very first element, which is permanence. Permanence means women look at bad episodes, sad episodes, upsetting episodes, and she believes, oh, this is permanent. Oh, this is here to stay. And that's not going away. The moment you look at your problem and you label them as, oh, they will always remain like this. My children will never improve. My family will never improve. The work has always been like this. Always, never, everyone. These are the ways in which you label things as permanent and pervasive. Pervasive means they take the center stage all over your life. So because women think of things, of problems particularly, of negative episodes as permanent, which means, so permanent basically means, oh, it's here to stay, it will always be like this. I have tried for last 25 years, it did not shift, and I don't think it's going to shift ever. So permanence is one important element which in women's thinking makes or complicates it for herself. The second thing, as I said, pervasiveness. Pervasive means she's not specific that, okay, in this one area of my life, I'm struggling. She would say, so one area kind of messes up and she will spread it to all the areas and she will generalize and say, this is how it is. Nothing works. My children have always been this tough, or my family has been like this, or if my child has been good, my in-laws were, about the in-laws, how we talk about them, right? I don't know whether that's true to everybody, but most of us take a very cultural connotation to it. Thank you, Latika. I'm happy that you agree with this. So you met someone the other day who is like that, these things will not change, and today she's having high BP and so much health constraints. So thank you for putting up this practical example here, because this is what is happening. BP and everything else shows. So we think that fear, oh, fear hi to hai, what's the big deal? It's a big deal, because if you don't handle that fear, that's going to convert into your thinking error, which is your worry. If you don't take care of your worry, that's going into the depression, anxiety, and all such severe levels. So very true. BP is also a manifestation of you thinking and overthinking and considering that your problems are permanent and they are pervasive. Pervasive means they span over all the areas of your life, your personal life, your social life, your work. So we have this tendencies of blowing this up, right? And that's I think is one of the biggest misgiving for a woman. If I have to tell you what else works, have you ever realized that's the third P actually? So first P was permanence. Women look at episodes as permanent always there to stay, always difficult, and spanning over longer durations of time. Woman is also guilty of looking at events in a very generalized manner, which we call pervasive. Pervasive basically means spread over all the areas of her life. I understand one area of life may not be working, but when you allow that one area to spill over all the other areas and generalize and say, oh my God, life is tough. Oh, culturally, India is, just not working. Marriages don't work. Relationships are tough. In-laws can be, very demanding. So all these are the areas how we are complicating and spreading the same problem over all the areas, right? So now the third one comes, which is personalization. Hi Purnima, thank you for joining in. Fear manifests, have seen so many cases around. Adrenaline malfunction happen due to fear. So that's what I'm saying. People think a fear hi to hai. It's so common. Yes, it is a biologically very common and a very, very, a natural response to a threat. But fear, in certain amounts is okay, because each time you're fearful, your adrenal glands will release adrenaline. Adrenaline will actually create a whole lot of energy into your body. And what is happening to that energy? If you're not channelizing that energy into fear or flight, that stays in your body. Any extra energy which stays in your body will create thinking errors or body, as I said, aches and pains. So aches and pains which are unexplained is one of the latest we are hearing in our generation. What is that? That's nothing but a psychosomatic illness. People are not able to sleep well. People are not, they're overthinking. And this is one problem that I'm, getting in my practice across the age groups. Everybody is overthinking. Everybody feels overwhelmed. So this could be slight amount of impact coming from the pandemic. I do agree. But I think it's also the mindset concern which needs to be taken care of. So allow me now to go to my third P. That third P is referred to as personalization. Any wrong thing that happens in our environment, at our work, with our team members, a small altercation with our friends, or a little misgiving in our, personal and professional life, we are the first ones to tell, oh, it's because of me. I am at fault. I always do it wrong. I have never been good at this. I'm so bad at accounts. I'm so bad at taking care of my children. I'm a bad mother. Have you ever heard, or can you resonate with most of the statements I just said? I hear them out every day. I am a bad mother. I'm a bad wife. I can't do well. I am doing all that I can do, but to no avail. I don't know if I can even manage or take care of it further down. I'm lost. I'm overwhelmed. So when you kind of look at a scenario and personalize it, internalize it as if it is your fault, women do it more often than men. Men will always say, oh, it's because of somebody. And when we were children, if you remember, when we were children, we never said, oh, I did it. I said, oh, it's because of him, my young sister, my little brother, or somebody else. No, I don't do this. It's because of somebody else that I got into it. So as a child, none of us had this. But as we grew into a full-blown woman, we actually started internalizing it. This could also happen more to those women who are not working constantly on their self-esteem, their self-concept, and they label their worth from what is happening in their environment. How does the husband see you? How does your in-laws treat you or see you? How does your children treat you or see you? And you start believing that it's me. The problem is within me. That's called personalization. Women have acquired a very wrong coping mechanism of personalizing it the wrong way. Not everything happens because of you. There are certain things which will happen because they are bound to happen in that way. Right? So the 3 P's which you have to be super mindful of is, please do not look at scenarios as permanent, rather look at them as temporary. Oh, it's just a phase, it'll pass. Or this too shall pass. Or it has happened in past and I've been able to overcome it. Ideally, this should also be, over in some time. So that's called temporary or way of looking at it. Specific. So instead of being pervasive, which is like having a blanket understanding of your life, personal, professional, children, everything, move from pervasive, which is such a blanket term, to specifics. Which particular area of your life is a problem? Because if you allow that one area, if you pick up that one area, your focus gets into a problem kind of thinking, and you think about all the areas and you take out all the wrong things which are happening in those areas. So shift from being pervasive to being specific. The last one, as I said, will be to shift from personalization, which is internal. It's because of me, it's because of me, I'm the one at fault, I never do it right, I don't know when will I learn to do this, I made mistakes, I made wrong things. So please, and people treat you, if people treat you in a wrong way, it's not about you, it's about them. So that's called personalization within and personalization outside. Do not attribute every problem, every error, every misjudgment to be because of you. There are times you have to attribute this thing to the outside as well, which means being more rational and looking at how and what happened in that scenario. So 3 P's, which will keep you in a safer space, and which will, so irrespective of whatever problem you have, whether you are in a fear zone, in a worry zone, or an anxiety zone, or even now that you have kind of complicated it all for yourself to reach a zone where you are almost depressed, or you are severely having panic attacks, trust me, all 3 things that you need to shift is to be a little more getting out of your permanent thinking, getting out of your pervasive thinking, and think more specific area, which one area is not doing fine. It's not that all the areas all the time will not do fine. So that's just an over exaggeration. Be mindful of that. And third, personalize it right. If you don't personalize it right and you take the blame on yourself, I don't think your emotional cup will be too full for too long. Any questions around this? Because I do have some more P's to talk of. And the another P that I need to tell you is, over the years, it's been a researched article which says over the years, women is growing pessimistic than men. As a woman, we are getting more pessimism is creeping into us. We cannot change it. Things won't change much. It's been like the same for years altogether. Pessimism is what kills the hope. And what kills the hope will kills your, whole zest for living, zest for solutions, zest for doing a little better and doing a little differently than usual. It's also been noticed that because of that pessimism and that loss of hope, the one element which has actually gone wrong for us, most of the women here, is learned helplessness. Learned helplessness. Yes, we have learned that we are helpless. So essentially, we are downplaying our strengths and we are overestimating the negatives or the problems in our life. So when you do that, learned helplessness has been number one reason why women has this ratio of 2:1. Also, number 2 stands out for rumination or overthinking. We ruminate over something, as I said, which happened 25 years back, and we are not ready to let it go. Please make peace with your past. Make peace with your past, whatever hurts, embarrassments, worries, concerns, insults, whatever sits in the past, let it be a thing of past. Don't bring it all the way into the now, because this now gets complicated, this now gets toxic. And if you really want to have a very permanent solution to this problem, where most of the things around you, in your family, in your extended circles, in your friend circles, as you as a person, and in the professional life are falling apart, chances are you have to look into 3 P's. Are you engaging too much into those 3 P's? Chances are you have to look into your whole idea of how you cope up with things when things are not right. Are you operating from a sense of learned helplessness? Or are you also ruminating on what happened in your office last week, 2 months back, or how your boss treated you, how your mother-in-law treated you, how your children treated you some time back? Rumination means constant thinking and rethinking. But you might think, what's the big deal? It's here. It's just going on quietly in one corner. It is not. It is not happening quietly in one corner. The moment you kind of align yourself to some negative past hurts, your body experiences the hurt in every single way as if it happened yesterday or as if it is happening right now. Your mind cannot distinguish between what is real and what is being imagined. So you're kind of allowing your body to experience the same set of toxicity even now. Isn't that a good reason to let go of past ruminations, hurts, embarrassments, and frustrations? Please don't cling on to them. It's a time for release. Let them go. Because rumination has been touted as number 2 element for all the problems that we see here for women getting depressed and anxious. And as I said, personalization, stands at number 3. So this is what I have to tell you about what your problems are about. And if you've heard me right, and now that it's time to go, I would be very happy to answer any questions that you might have on the topic. And so thank you, Priyanka, for joining in. So if you think that as a woman you are having a little worry and it's okay, trust me, it's not okay. And it's also a good time to handle this, because little worries are like little demons. You can handle them right away and you can get rid of them easily. With a little professional help, this will go away in less than 2 sessions. But when your fear is not controlled, it is not managed, and when it gets into even into your thinking or into your body, trust me, that's a problem area. That's a difficult area of control. And then what complicates is the whole idea of how you are thinking that it's going to stay, it's permanent, it will never go away, and you kind of personalize it. It's because of me. Dear woman, you need to look into all the aspects of life, and particularly these 3 P's that I mentioned, and also on how to channelize your rumination or overthinking, how to channelize your whole idea of not being helpless. Helpless is the last thing we should feel, because now is the time you can reach out to communities, you can reach out to people, you can get into work from home. There is a solution, right? But are you open to solving the problem? Are you just wanting to vent it out and temporarily feel good about it, or are you looking to permanently get rid of it? That's my question to you. Think about it. Till we meet next, I think I've given you enough thought for or a food for thought, and also thought to sit down with, to self-reflect and understand. It's not always the other people, it's mostly about us. If you're trying to control, change and manage other people, you will always be in this messy cycle of 3 P's not going right for you. But if you think of transforming how you're thinking, how you're coping, how would you like, are you open to doing a little bit of work on this? If you're able to do that, trust me, there are people supporting you for that. There are things there are simple things that you can do that can shift you from pain to a better life where you thrive. Thank you so much. Thank you, Latika. Glad, Rashi, that it makes sense to you. Happy that you agree on that. So thank you, everyone. I hope this will make a lot of sense to you. You will be able to reflect on the 3 questions, as well as the many P's that I have discussed in the platform for taking charge of your life. Thank you. Take good care.